Ever since I was little, I had issues with food. I was at cheer practice, with all my friends, and I would be the only one bringing a giant, like family-sized bag of Doritos to cheer practice, and I would eat them before cheer practice. And none of my other friends were doing this. They were all asking me why I was eating a whole bag of Doritos right before cheer practice. But that's just everything I did revolved around food. So if I wasn't eating, I was planning on what I was going to eat. If I was going to a restaurant, I had to know what was on the menu before we went. If it didn't look like I wanted any of it, we wouldn't go to that restaurant. I would pick somewhere else. As I got a little bit older and I moved out of my parents' house and I finally had all the freedom that I had ever wanted, I took advantage of it and I ate like a complete a-hole for a very long time, and I never knew anything about nutrition, so I would go to the store and get chips and Dr. Pepper and Easy Mac and frozen chicken, and that was quite literally what my diet consisted of for a very long time. And then I kind of hit a roadblock. This is what still keeps me going, is my Taco Bell days. I wasn't working. I was like 24. I don't know why I didn't have a job, but I was laying on the couch every day. My husband would get up and go to work. We weren't married at the time. And I would wake up and I would drive straight to Taco Bell at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I would get 2 large meals, and I would go home and I would eat them by myself, and I would feel so amazing for 5 minutes. This is what I tell all the girls in the community now. Focus on how long it's gonna actually take you to eat. So if you're really obsessing about having something and you're like, God, I just wanna cheat, I wanna have this, sit down and think about how long it's gonna take you to eat that. Most of the time it's gonna be less than 5 minutes. And so when you put it into that perspective, you really are like, that's not really gonna be worth it. So I would sit there and eat my Taco Bell and I would feel great. And then within 5 minutes, I would feel complete guilt, and then I would be automatically planning on doing it again the next day. End of the meal, I was hiding the evidence. I got to a point where I was hiding in the trash can so that my husband wouldn't see it when he came home. And then I would plan, next morning, that's exactly what I did. And I did this for almost a year. And looking back, I realized how ridiculous this behavior was. And I knew it at the time, but I guess was living in denial, and I didn't want to address it at the time. Once I got pregnant with my first child, I gained 55 pounds. And it was hell getting the weight off. And I was very, very insecure. I didn't let people come over to my house to even see my son because I was so embarrassed about how I looked, because I let myself do whatever I wanted when I was pregnant. And then after I had him, I magically thought the weight would come off, and it didn't. And all of a sudden I had to really work for the first time in my life. I played soccer growing up, so I never really had to worry about my weight. I ate whatever I wanted, always remained a string bean. All of a sudden, none of my clothes fit. My shoes didn't fit. This is when the fad diets began. I did HCG 2 times, and it worked, but I was left with, okay, now what do I do? I've lost the weight, now what do I do? And I was told, you need to never eat carbs and sugar again. And that's a bunch of BS. I knew that I know no one would ever be able to never eat carbs or sugar ever again. That's not realistic. So I'm kind of just floating around at this point. I don't know anything about nutrition. I don't know how to make this work and to get the weight off, how to keep it off, to get the body I want, eat what I want in the process. I figured it was all or nothing. I figured I had to do these really horrible things if I wanted the body I wanted, or I didn't, and I would have to just be okay with, the body I had. And I didn't know that there's this amazing middle ground right in between both of those. And it took about 5 years to finally get there, because 5 years ago I was fed up. I was drinking, I was eating like crap still, and I finally had enough of my own crap, and so I signed up with a trainer. It worked. The program I was on was very restrictive, and I was working out a lot, and the weight came off, and I finally started to feel confident. But at the same time, I was still struggling deep inside with, I don't want to eat like this for the rest of my life. And I was terrified. I was so scared. I even had one of my best friends, 30 years, was like, aren't you afraid, at some point you're gonna say, I can't do this anymore? And I was like, yeah, I am. I don't know how long I can do this. So I competed not long after that, which made all of my food issues 1,000,000 times worse, all of my body issues 1,000,000 times worse, because after the show, I was afraid to eat. I was afraid to skip a protein meal. I was afraid to eat anything that wasn't on my diet for fear that I would lose everything that I had worked so hard for. And so at that point is when I knew that something had to change, or I felt honestly like I would go down like that really scary road that I was already on with food, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I started the community, and I started it as like a challenge for women to join and to see what, I would give them a meal plan, and they would lose weight, and it would be a fun challenge. And it just morphed into this like lifestyle, me continuously sharing my story like I am right now of struggling with food. No woman is different. Like, we are all the same. Every woman struggles with food and their body image. My goal is to help them work on themselves while they're working on their body. It's not do this, eat egg whites and chicken every day so that you can get those abs that you really, really want, and then hate yourself in the process. It's, what do you really like? Do you like wine? Okay, let's put that on your meal plan. Do you like donuts, or do you like chips and queso? Let's put that into your meal plan every day so that you have something to look forward to that you can actually enjoy doing and not hate life in the process and still make progress. And it's possible. It's possible with macros. It's possible with weight training. And these are the types of things that I now teach, ironically enough, teach to lots and lots of women on how to do. And I still there's some mornings when I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, I have no motivation today. I have no words of motivation to give these women. Like, who am I to be teaching anyone on balance and moderation? I mean, it was like a lifelong joke of my sister. Like, yeah, great, now you can do all this restrictive stuff, but you still haven't taught yourself moderation. And I finally feel like I have that. And it's like my passion now to teach other women the same thing.